Okay, welcome back to part 3 of our menus tutorial, and in this one we're going to work on how you set up a slightly more complicated layout. So in this particular instance we're going to do buttons of different sizes and lengths within our current layout. So right now we've got a vertical box containing our buttons and we've got some spaces in between. All of our buttons are set up to fill, which means they'll occupy all horizontal space of the vertical box, and each will occupy an equal amount of the vertical space. This gives us a nice even layout, but if we want something a little bit more complicated, such as buttons of varying lengths, we can do this one way by the method that I'm going to show. So, to start with, we're going to take our top button and we're going to work on that one first. And we're going to use the wrap with command, which essentially inserts another widget into the existing hierarchy as the parent of the widget that you're wrapping. So in this particular case, we're going to wrap it with a horizontal box. And you can see straight away that our button has now shrunk down and left aligned itself in auto space for your horizontal box. So I'm going to do that to each of our existing buttons. And you can see they've come in at slightly different lengths. This is because our space in the middle is determined by the size required for the text placed in our current text box. So, to demonstrate that a little easier, you can see that if I make this string longer, the button stretches appropriately for that. So, if that kind of spacing is fine for you and you just wanted to stretch your buttons according to text size, that's all we'd need to do. Although, to make things look a little nicer, you might also want to do some aligning and place things in a more central layout. So you take your horizontal boxes and place them at a centered alignment. But we're going to do a slightly more complicated layout at this point, so I'm just going to move those on back. And the layout I'm thinking of doing at this stage is we're going to set them out along a diagonal. So, we want this button to be the longest and this to be the shortest at a nice even angle. This means we need to control in a far more specific manner the horizontal length of these buttons. And we're going to do that by using the wrap again, and we're going to insert a size box around our buttons. So again, coming to the top button, that's now placed inside a size box, and we're going to do width override. So let's just start off with a test value. We've just popped in 1000 here to see exactly how much that's going to give us. Obviously that's too long, so let's start with 700 for this one. We can then go down our widgets if I don't pick the wrong override. There we go. And place our overrides just in a descending pattern, like so. And you'll see that it gives us a far more detailed control of exactly how long we want our widgets to be. And again, we could edit the layout of these so that our horizontal boxes were vertical aligned or horizontal aligned. And the reason we've put the size box inside a horizontal box like this is so that we can control the alignments nicely. So there you can see, with a little bit of wrapping, our widget tree has become much more complex already, but it allows us much more detailed control of the sizing of each of our buttons. And then if I go ahead and play that, you can see we have nicely laid out buttons that are maintaining this little diagonal effect regardless of how we scale. You can also see what I mentioned earlier of the spacers will scale themselves according to the screen size, just as the buttons do, maintaining a nice even gap between our buttons at all times. And this wrap width size box, in conjunction with a horizontal and vertical box, can easily be used to set up all kinds of complex layouts, just using the exact same technique, and you can combine these in different ways depending on the end layout that you want to achieve. So it's a brief overview of complex layouts, and we'll be back in the next video.